Hey folks, it's Steve Wilmes and Matt Keita, and we're here with another episode of the Risk Control Show. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about our emergency plans, what we need to update, and oh no, the next big thing, nuclear war.
Wait, is it 1985, Steve?
I know.
Bringing me back to when I was a kid.
I know. I know. It's terrible. It really is, and I know people are going, what is this guy talking about? And what is he talking about? Ah! Well, the funny thing is, we need to kind of take a look here. I'm just showing the CDC website real quick. I'll put it back up. What is a nuclear blast and all this kind of stuff. And again, yeah, it's out there. I think the thing that brought this to mind for me is, I was up north at one point in time, and I was talking a little bit about the emergency plan. We were kind of walking through active shooter scenarios in the campus, and they had a thoroughfare that went through the campus that was on their campus, but because they were trying to be nice with the local residents, they just opened up their street so that people could, drive through to the other side without having to go all the way around. Right. Do you remember this? And
yeah.
And I was saying to them, well, what do you guys do in the event of a hazardous waste spill? And it's funny, I asked this during our hazardous waste operation classes too, what if a vehicle traveling down in front of your, in the ski resort town, what if a vehicle happens to be traveling through and is in an accident and releases hazardous waste? Your parking lot off the road is cantilevered, and it's going to come right down into your building. And this will never happen. That would never happen. The pandemic will never happen, and this won't happen, and school shootings don't happen, and that wouldn't happen here. And what am I supposed to worry about? Aliens and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, look, I'm not giving you a far-fetched scenario. I mean, we've had where tanker trucks pull up and for the wastewater treatment facilities and connect the wrong hose to the wrong tank, or the right hose to the wrong tank, and create a chlorine gas cloud, which ravishes 5 miles worth of crops. These things happen from time to time, and sure enough, I don't know if I bring things to fruition or not.
You're the reason for all everything that's gone wrong. Yeah. Now we know.
Right. But it's shortly after that class, I think it was 8 months after, sure enough, there was a little, it wasn't major, but there was a little leak in a vehicle that was traveling by, and so here again, we're starting to see a lot of little things on the nuclear side where people are asking questions on these news aggregator sites of, okay, where's the best place to hide, right? These articles are starting to come up. What are the targets that we're seeing? Yeah. And I find it funny, the maps never list Los Angeles, where all the people live.
Right, yeah.
But, how long does the radiation last? What's the half-life factor? What's the blast radius? How do I survive a blast? Where do I go? We still have in some of our older areas, the kind of early settled areas where schools were built and older buildings exist, bomb shelters and things like this. And I think it's something that we need to take a peek at in our emergency operations plans. I don't see a lot of nuclear type scenarios that are played out in those situations, but we have this whole issue with Russia, and I don't believe that it'll ever come to that. But do you?
Yeah. No, I don't think I certainly hope it doesn't. I don't think it will either. But then consider the even more serious concern. Well, the two concerns that jump out to me even more than Russia is North Korea with them working on intercontinental ballistic missiles and working on long range missiles, and then just I know it's an old bugaboo because we've been dealing with for 20 years, but terrorists with dirty bombs and everything like that.
Sure.
Those are, to me, those are even more worrying concerns than Russia, though obviously Russia's the war rattling that they've been doing, that Putin has been doing during this Ukraine thing. Obviously, that's a concern.
Yeah, it's a major concern, and I think whether the concern is well-founded or not, it is something that we should start to look at least on the surface and maybe one layer below that. If you're close to the blast, you got maybe 1 to 2 seconds to get to cover if you're lucky. But what you do after that is going to be the real concern. And so if you're in a school, the further interior that you can get, the further underground you can get, the better off you are. Typically, if you have 6 feet of dirt over top of you, the way radiation waves work, they don't really penetrate at those angles. It's kind of straight across, and so you can survive in those types of situations. Certain levels of concrete that you need. So the further the interior of the building, having the windows closed, those types of things are going to be vital. I think the other thing is the immediate decrease in radiation levels. Like if you are in an area where you're not immediately impacted by the blast, meaning you don't get blown to smithereens, and you actually survive this, like as soon as possible, get those layers of clothing off. Don't take them inside. Make sure that you're washing yourself immediately, not with water that's on the outside that is also getting the radiation exposure. But these are just real basic little things that we need to look at, and we need to understand that we need to put this into the plan. And I think it's always been there in that regard as a threat. Never really that serious. We don't know what Russia's going to do. I doubt that it's going to go that way, but I just see a lot of news articles from some major news sources. I see a lot of these things coming our way, and so let's not be on the back end of this going, well, I had no plan, and now here we are in our school, which is in San Bernardino, survived the blast, and what do we do? So take a look at that. Understand that Los Angeles will definitely be a target. San Francisco will definitely be a target. New York, those types of places. But we have to have some plans.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think the another part of this whole thing is you have to consider that, like, let's say you have a major earthquake or a fire. There obviously, especially a major earthquake, you could have severe damage to infrastructure. A nuclear blast does so much massive and comprehensive and total damage that it makes a major earthquake look like a joke.
Right.
Like nothing will work.
Right.
Everything will be contaminated. So it really then, as part of your plan, it becomes important to make sure that you're properly stocked up, that you have everything that you need already in your emergency bins or somewhere on your site, somewhere protected, ideally. A lot of them. I'm not sure how good the standard shipping containers we see used for emergency bins, if they work really well at keeping out radiation. If they do, great. If they don't, it might be something you may want to upgrade where you keep those supplies so that they're not subject to that radiation, or at least not to the level where they become unusable.
Right.
But my main point is that all your usual backups, internet, phone, electricity, water, all of that is going to be destroyed.
Right.
So you're going to need to have those kinds of backup supplies to support yourself for who knows how many days.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be weeks.
Oh, months.
Months before somebody comes out to you. So
no one's coming to you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. They're dealing with their own stuff.
Yeah, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming for you. Sorry, they're just not coming for you. Well, I think that's the message for today is check out your emergency plans. Take a look at what's going on inside those plans. Don't be the person that goes, well, that'll never happen. Because we saw it with the pandemic. We see it with the cyber attacks. We see it with the ransomware attacks. We see it. Those things may occur. Again, the point of the emergency plan is not to be a daily operation. It's an emergency. So, your riots, your protests, we're seeing, look at Atlanta just the other day, protests are breaking out again. Riots are breaking out again. So these things happen. We did that with the example with the active shooter. Like, where are you situated? Well, gosh, that one elementary school was in the middle of like 7 banks. Remember that?
Right. Yes.
And we're looking at it. And we're saying, like, these are things that you need to be aware of. If a bank robbery goes wrong and they run onto your campus to take a hostage, that's a situation. And people say, oh, well, well, we had that happen over in Santa Fe Springs, where guys ran onto the campus. Luckily, they went into lockdown immediately and no one got taken hostage. But those things happen. You just don't know. So we look at our society today. People are becoming a little more, I say the word attentioned. Right?
Yes.
And we see the shootings.
Mental health does seem to be an issue.
Yes. We had 3 shootings over the weekend in California, and we're going to talk about that coming up. But the thing is, nuclear war, the nuclear fallout, nuclear blast, nuclear radiation from nuclear power plants that are part of tsunamis, Fukushima, all that kind of stuff. These are things that we need to have a plan in place for, address, at least discuss it on some level so people are not trying to figure it out in the immediate emergency event. So that's all I got on that one. Don't forget to check us out on Udemy and Dollar Training Club. Follow us here on YouTube. We're also posting these live on LinkedIn, so you can always follow there and join the chat. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. We'll see you next time on the Risk Control Show.